Most people today are not truly living. They are scrolling, consuming, pretending. They wake up, check their phones, drown in notifications, and before their feet even touch the floor, they've already lost themselves. They feel the quiet ache, that dull, formless emptiness that whispers, "Is this all there is?" No matter how many goals they chase, how many likes they collect, how many self-help books they read, something inside still feels missing. Carl Jung called this the loss of soul, a psychological death that happens long before the physical one. And Friedrich Nietzsche warned of this future, a world that killed God but forgot to replace him with meaning. We live in that future now, a world where everyone looks busy, but no one knows why they're doing anything at all. A civilization of motion without direction, of pleasure without purpose, of connection without depth. This is the modern crisis of meaning. Jung once wrote that the greatest danger to humanity is not war, not famine, not plague, but the emptiness within the human soul. Because from that emptiness comes everything else. Look around. People no longer believe in anything greater than themselves. Not in community, not in truth, not even in the value of their own suffering. We were told that technology would free us, but instead it chained our attention. We were promised endless choice, but choice without purpose only multiplies confusion. And so we fill the void with stimulation. Scrolling, swiping, watching, buying, reacting. The dopamine keeps us alive but not awake. Behind every luxury, every curated photo, every digital smile, lies exhaustion. Because our culture worships two false gods, comfort and validation. We are taught to avoid discomfort at all costs, and to measure our worth by the attention of strangers. But Jung warned that the soul grows only through struggle, through confrontation with pain, uncertainty, and darkness. When we flee from those, we lose the only path to meaning, and so the emptiness deepens. Not because life has no meaning, but because we've forgotten how to seek it. We live in the age of mirrors. Everywhere we look, screens reflect versions of ourselves back to us. Each post, each comment, each click, a tiny performance of identity. Jung would say, the persona, our social mask, has consumed the self. We've become trapped in the image we project. We are no longer being, we are appearing. And in that appearance, we lose contact with our inner life. Silence feels uncomfortable. Solitude feels dangerous. We can't hear our own thoughts anymore, because the noise of the world is louder than the voice of the soul. The digital world doesn't just steal your time. It rewires your mind. It rewards the shallow and punishes the deep. It teaches you to seek dopamine, not discovery. Validation, not vision. Nietzsche called this herd morality. A collective hypnosis where everyone follows the same values, not because they believe in them, but because they fear standing alone. In the digital age, we fear being unseen more than being unreal, and that fear is spiritual decay. Jung believed that what we repress, personally or collectively, eventually rises to destroy us. Today, society represses depth, discipline, and individuality. We glorify surface and speed. But the shadow we ignore gathers strength in silence. It shows itself in the rage online, in the constant outrage, in the obsession with labels, identity, tribalism, and the need to prove one's virtue to everyone else. This is not progress, it is projection, the collective shadow unleashed. When we lose the courage to confront our own darkness, we begin to project it onto others, blaming society, politics, them, the system, when in truth the emptiness we hate outside lives within. To face the shadow is terrifying. It means admitting that you are the architect of your suffering, that you are not just the victim, but also the perpetrator. But that confrontation, that brutal honesty, is the beginning of awakening. Because only by facing the darkness can you reclaim your light. Nietzsche saw this emptiness coming. He declared, God is dead, not as celebration, but as warning. He knew that when the old sources of meaning collapsed, we would need to become our own creators of value. That is the essence of the Übermensch, the one who creates meaning from nothingness. Meaning isn't found, and it's forged. Every hardship you face is raw material. Every failure is fuel. Every loss an invitation to evolve. The modern man runs from suffering. The awakened one transforms it. Amor fati, love your fate. Not because it's easy, but because it's yours. To love your fate is to stop wishing for another life and start mastering the one you have. That is how you become free in a world built on illusion. Nietzsche didn't want you to despair in the void. He wanted you to dance in it. Because the void, when faced with courage, becomes creation. Carl Jung taught that the goal of life is individuation, to integrate all parts of yourself, the light and the shadow, the strength and the wound, the mask and the truth. Most people live fragmented, torn between who they are and who they pretend to be. But when you face yourself completely, you become whole, and the world can no longer control you. Wholeness is not comfort. It's not positivity or perfection. It's realness. It's the stillness that comes when you no longer need to prove or hide. When you understand that meaning is not given to you, it's created by how you live, moment to moment. We don't need more pleasure. We need purpose. We don't need more distraction. We need direction. The cure for the emptiness is not more consumption, but confrontation, to look inward, to listen, to create, to love, to suffer consciously. That is how life becomes sacred again. There has never been an era with more stimulation and less satisfaction. You can watch 10 lives unfold in 1 minute. You can know what someone across the world ate for breakfast. You can have every answer in your pocket and still have no idea who you are. This is not knowledge. It's noise disguised as information. Nietzsche once wrote that mankind would one day become too distracted to think, too comfortable to change, too entertained to evolve. And here we are, scrolling past our own existence. The modern world doesn't kill meaning with pain. It kills it with pleasure. Every notification, every reel, every ad, every hit of dopamine pulls us away from the quiet space where real thought is born. We've traded reflection for reaction, depth for speed, wisdom for relevance. Jung would say that this is how the unconscious takes over. Not through nightmares or madness, but through subtle addiction to the trivial. We've lost contact with the inner world because the outer one never stops screaming. We have become strangers to our own silence, afraid to be alone with our thoughts, afraid to hear what the soul might say if the noise stopped. But meaning is found only in silence, in stillness, in the pauses between the chaos. When you finally stop running from boredom, you start hearing truth. When you stop chasing distraction, you begin remembering who you are. You cannot build a meaningful life if your attention is scattered across 10,000 empty moments. To find yourself, you must reclaim your focus, because your focus is your life force. Every time you resist distraction, you are not losing entertainment. You are gaining clarity. You are recovering the ability to think, to choose, to feel, to create something real again. The greatest rebellion in a world built on noise is to be silent and aware. That's where meaning begins, in the spaces no algorithm can reach. If nihilism is the disease of our age, then creation is its cure. Nietzsche's final message was not despair. It was rebirth. He saw that when the old gods die, new gods must be born, not in temples, but within the human heart. The modern man doesn't need another belief to follow. He needs a purpose to forge. He needs to become a creator, not of art or success alone, but of value. Carl Jung echoed this. He said the goal of individuation is not perfection, but wholeness, to bring light to your own darkness and create meaning from your own depths. That is the rebirth, not to escape life, but to participate in it consciously. You will still feel emptiness at times. You will still doubt, ache, and question. But when you live with intention, even suffering becomes sacred. Pain stops being punishment. It becomes material. You can shape it, sculpt it, use it to build the architecture of a life that feels authentic, not inherited. This is the new spiritual challenge: to create meaning in a world that provides none, to choose responsibility over cynicism, to choose creation over consumption, to choose self-awareness over validation. Because the void isn't trying to destroy you. It's trying to awaken you. You are not here to fill the emptiness with things. You are here to become the kind of being who can face emptiness without fear. And from that stillness, build meaning so powerful it radiates outward. Nietzsche called it the great yes to life. Jung called it individuation. Today we might call it awakening. The moment you stop waiting for the world to give you purpose and start creating it from your own depths, that is the birth of meaning. That is when the emptiness stops being a curse and becomes your teacher. And when you reach that point, no system, no ideology, no algorithm can ever own your mind again. You become something rare, something dangerous, something truly alive. You become whole. Comment: I choose to create meaning. I like if this resonated with your soul. I share this with someone lost in the noise. I'll subscribe for more philosophy, depth, and psychological awakening.